In this video, I'm going to be answering a few questions regarding Battlefield 5 and the issues DICE are having with marketing the game. A Battlefield game set in World War II should be a home run for EA, with millions of copies flying off the shelf with no questions being asked. And although that will almost certainly happen anyway, the success that BF1 saw on release nearly 2 years ago is not likely to be repeated. Let's delve into some of the issues that DICE are having with BF5 and some of the problems that they've caused themselves. I know a lot of this connects into EA. You can't just blame the people who have made the game. There are a lot of people at the top of the ladder who have these opinions and decisions that really change the direction of the game completely. There are a few major factors involved. I do want to get into them, but first of all, let's start out with the setting. World War II is an awesome setting, many people wanted it, and it's a direct move forward from Battlefield 1 that was of course set in the First World War. We haven't had battlefields set in the major wars, World War I and World War II, for quite some time, so it's nice to go back there and check it out, especially after Call of Duty has given it a crack with World War II, and a lot of other games have come along and tried to bring us a World War II experience, some a World War I experience, and they never really get close to what DICE can do with Battlefield. Of course, Battlefield leads the way when it comes to large-scale FPS games. Now, this is really cool. Also, you got to remember Battlefield is on console as well, so it's a game that brings everybody in the gaming world an experience that they will not forget. World War II, as I mentioned, should have been a home run. Maybe people wanted a modern game, maybe people wanted something slightly different to a World War II shooter, but come on, it's World War II, they can't really mess it up. And even after all of the issues they've been having, the alpha isn't actually that awful, and having things like the Stuka make that screaming siren sound as it bombs towards you, and then you've got some of the most iconic weapons already in the game, and of course we'll be getting access to loads more. I can't really see the game failing that hard. That being said, it's never going to be what it could have been. It could have been the biggest Battlefield ever, and I was thinking it would build on the success that BF1 had and get even more popularity. But overall, I wouldn't be blaming the lack of success on the setting. I think World War II is a perfect setting for building a Battlefield game. Now something a little controversial and something I haven't really spoken about a whole lot, because as a content creator you can get yourself in some hot water, not only with the creators of the game but often with the fans watching the videos, if you're talking about diversity. Now, diversity in Battlefield 1 was clear to see when the Russian DLC came out and they used a female character on the front cover of that DLC. I thought it was very tastefully done. Women fought in that part of the war. It was historically accurate to whatever extent you want to call Battlefield historically accurate, and no one really seemed to mind. It was tastefully done, I think is the best way to explain it. With Battlefield 5, you've got a situation that no one really liked. If you get caught saying you didn't like the initial trailer because there was a woman at the start of it, you get called all sorts of names by people who think that you don't enjoy women in video games, which is simply not the case. Women have just as much room in video games as men do, but when you're creating a World War II game, arguably the largest war that we'll ever see, and then this was fought on the front lines by men, I didn't fight in it. I have no link to saying that I fought in this war. It's just history, it's the facts. And then I find it quite difficult to believe that you'd then put a woman as the main character at the start and then call it historically accurate, and that rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way. I personally don't really care. I'm playing a video game, I don't care if I'm playing as a man or woman, I forget about it, and as it's a first person game, you don't really know you're playing as a man or a woman. You're all wearing camouflage, it doesn't really make any difference to me. However, there are many better ways that DICE could have approached this. The fact that they shove it down your throat immediately with the first trailer got a lot of people angry, and it's not really very fun. People don't enjoy being told what they can and can't play as, what they can and can't enjoy, whether they should be thinking, oh, women fought in World War II on the front lines. I have to forget everything that I've learnt in history. This is maybe the way it was and stuff like that. You can't call something historically accurate and then not be historically accurate. Well, in Battlefield 1, they went down the right road, in my opinion, and they did a really, really good job of incorporating women into the game. And let's not forget, at the very start of the game, they had the Harlem Hellfighters involved, which was another push towards what some people would say diversity is. I didn't really notice that. I thought it was great, I suppose, but it was more tastefully done, I think, and Battlefield 5 has really been a push in the wrong direction. Now, linking back into that trailer, I had an interesting quote from someone who worked on as part of the Battlefield 5 trailer, but not the first part. They worked on the teaser part that you saw recently, the Rotterdam one. Now, this was very interesting. They said that the trailer we saw for Battlefield 5, the first trailer that got a very bad reception on YouTube, was not what the team had planned. They had made an edit that was all what I believe Saving Private Ryan themed, so very World War II-esque, Hollywood-esque, what everyone wanted to see, and apparently they'd planned for Tom Hardy to voice it, which would link into his movie in Dunkirk, I suppose, and that would have just been absolutely insane. And trust me, that would have 100 million views on YouTube right now with a 99% like rate if they'd gone down that road. And they even planned out the budget for it, so they were quite far down the line, but executives and people at the top, you know how it's like in these companies, someone at the top can tell you after you've done a whole load of work that that's not the direction they want to go in, and it's not the vision that they have, etc. So they went down the other route with BF5, a non-stop scene where you see pretty much everything the game has to offer in terms of customization, loot boxes, blah blah blah, and that's EA for you. Unfortunately, EA only care about the money, and I am at a point now where I don't care in my videos whether I get in hot water for saying this sort of stuff, but it is plain to see EA only do care about the money in any game. And if you're being asked as a game developer now and you're pitching a game to somebody and you're saying, I have this fantastic idea, I've got this brilliant idea, it's completely original, everyone's going to love playing it, the first question you'll probably get asked is how do loot boxes, how do customization fit into it, how do we have an ultimate team in this game, how do we get 10, 11, 12-year-olds to pay money for this game, and can it be played on all consoles, PC, can it be played by everybody? How can we monetize it? And unfortunately, that's the way the gaming scene has been going for some years, and now it has made its way over to Battlefield. We saw it a bit in BF4, not a whole lot with battle packs and things like that, bit with the DLC. BF1 had a bit more of it in. BF5, trust me, is going to be riddled with it, and you'll be able to spend as much money as you want in that game for cosmetics, and that's the main reason for the trailer being the way it was, because with that woman, you've got to remember, she had customization on her arm with the hook. Again, completely ridiculous, but whatever. And then you had the other characters, one that looked like he was from God of War, and the blue face paint and all that rubbish. You're going to be able to do that to your character and really just detach yourself from the World War II experience as much as you want, but whatever, as long as the game plays well, I'm not actually going to be too angry. The problem will come along if the game plays badly and has all that rubbish in it, because it's clear to see that they concentrated on the wrong thing. Something else I'd like to add into this video: game changers. These are the people that DICE get to test certain things, often nothing really that secret. There are a few hand-picked game changers. Westy will be one of them, the guys who are right at the top, who have been loyal to the franchise and really are quite useful in certain situations, and Westy has definitely been superb with Battlefield 5, voicing his discontent on Twitter. If you do follow him, he is very critical of the game, and probably the only large game changer that I've seen do this consistently. Of course, when you are growing as a channel, you do need to be a bit of a yes man if you do want to get involved in these things, and often it will lead to you saying, yes, the game's the best thing I've ever played, when in fact it might not be. That is something I am not comfortable with doing, I never have been. If DICE say we don't want you involved in certain things because you're too critical, then I'm not going to be involved. That's not something I want to do. I don't rely on YouTube as a job. I never plan to, really. I mean, it would be nice if it was my full-time job, but I'm never going to put myself in a position where I have to agree with everything they're doing to create a subpar game. Now, the game changers haven't really been involved in BF5 much at all. We were in BF1 a lot. We were often linked into events. Things were bounced back off us a lot, and we knew exactly what was going on with the DLCs, even though some of the last ones were really bad in terms of optimization and updates. We don't really update the game. We just fill in little sheets and surveys, and of course we have experience as game changers with Battlefield. We've played all the Battlefields, so DICE know they're getting feedback from someone who kind of knows what they're talking about, but again, they don't listen to us directly. That's not really something I've ever seen happen. With Battlefield 5, it's a bit of a weird one, because there's only been one alpha. They, I suppose, listened to everything people said, and then with the second alpha nothing's been changed apart from some TTK changes that they need for their own statistics. So until the beta we won't really know if they listen to game changers or in fact the general public when it comes to feedback. A bit of a weird one, but we'll have to wait and see how that works. And linking into that, the alpha, I'm not impressed with the second alpha at all. It's like the first one, but worse. I don't really think they needed to test all of those TTK changes on a full alpha. They could probably just do that with a closed alpha behind closed doors where no one needs to see this. If you're releasing an alpha and you're looking to increase popularity from a marketing point of view, you really need to make sure it's a step forward from the last one, because people don't realize this build is 3 months old. The general public don't know that the build we're playing is an old build and the game is not going to play like this in the beta and then in the full game, and they didn't really voice that at all. And now people think that the game, me currently coming back and playing the alpha, I didn't think it played well at all, the second one. So I'm thinking that they're taking a step backwards in terms of development when that is not the fact. But again, it has not been showcased from the team, from EA, from DICE at all. And again, there's been a complete lack of communication on their front. Transparency links into this. They have not been transparent with this game at all. People don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You've got people on Twitter saying, here are the plans we have for the future, especially when the alpha, the second alpha, got released. It wasn't even an official DICE post. It came straight from somebody screenshotting Origin because it got leaked on there. Again, it just proves that someone's dropped the ball and there isn't that firm grasp on marketing that we saw with Battlefield 1, and it's a real shame. And I don't know why that is. That's the weird thing. I don't know if someone's left the company. I don't know if their funding's been cut. I don't know if they're doing this on purpose and they're going to really pick up the marketing at the end of this month, maybe at Gamescom. It's very unusual. Now, I've mentioned EA before, and I've mentioned the fact that they are not really interested in creating a game that is going to focus on purely gameplay. It's all about monetization. And this is something that is a real problem for the Battlefield franchise. I was hoping and really had my fingers crossed that EA were going to let DICE just do what they wanted because of the success BF1 had, and said, you can go and create your own game, make a super popular game, and then what we'll do is we'll sell it for 50 quid a game. That's what we'll do. And that's how we make our money. But unfortunately, that's not the way it's going to go. So I'm very interested to see what EA and DICE do in the future. My guess is a lot of DICE employees aren't going to be so content with letting their hard work go to waste with EA, but I don't know, I'm not in the office. And luckily, we do have other games like World War III coming along that, yes, it's not going to be the polished, finished game that Battlefield is going to be, but if that game is successful in any way, shape or form, and especially with PUBG being incredibly successful, small studios are going to come along and try to take a bit of EA's thunder. And as long as EA don't buy them out, which has been known to happen in the past, we might see a contender to Battlefield. And I think that is the biggest thing that this will encourage. If Battlefield 5 fails, which I hope it doesn't, but if it does and it's not really that successful, these indie studios are going to pick up some of that market because there's going to be space. As people don't choose to buy BF5, they're going to buy something else. Now, that is my 2 cents when it comes to Battlefield 5 and the issues DICE are having with marketing the game. As I said, the setting is perfect. There are issues from day one, such as the forced diversity. I haven't even got into the gameplay, although I think the game plays just fine. I think the game will be a good game to play. The trailer, a disaster. The upcoming teasers and news and communication from DICE themselves, not great at all. Game changes, underutilized, not used really by any of the team as far as I am aware. The alpha, the second alpha, entirely pointless in my opinion from a marketing standpoint. Good for the development of the game, but that's not what the alpha should really be used for, because you used a closed alpha in my opinion if you just want details. Transparency and EA, well, we all know what that means. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. A bit of a longer one today, completely unscripted, just what I thought about the state of Battlefield 5 at the minute. I am working full time at the minute, so I don't really have time to make a whole load of videos. I just chuck a commentary on whenever I have a minute on my computer and then upload it. So if you do enjoy, it's greatly appreciated, your support on these videos. Also, I'll try and get those top plays out for you on Sunday and then possibly Wednesday. If you have sent clips in, I might have a little bit of a backlog because a lot of clips have been sent in. A lot of people have sent in stuff from BF4, BF3, BF1, a few from BF5 as well. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.